I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast, set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a day
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
Cade, we are on, cowboy. Thanks for coming on.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
So I know today was probably a long day. Got everything wrapped up. Got them riding and sliding or bouncing and pulling. Maybe a little bit of both today.
A lot of them bounce.
Since about 4 o'clock this morning, probably.
Some of them pull back too.
What is a day like? What is it like at home? Like when you're home, when does it get started? Because right now, like we've had a good summer. We have a real good summer. I mean, it's green right now in August in Texas, like where we live. You live in Lipan, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's green. That's for the last 2 years. It's been very, very.
The last 2 years have been tough.
Major drought.
They've been hot. We had 59 days over 100 degrees last year.
Yeah.
And
No hay,
no rain, no forgiveness. And it was tough. I don't have lights. I don't want lights.
I'm with you.
And I just soon get up and our day starts. And the when we get there, barn at 4 o'clock,
I get to the barn at 4. Because this is our first time really, it's probably 110, I think here lately, or close to it. It's been pretty mild, but like right now it's back. Like it's back to normal.
August is here.
August is here.
And
so at the barn at 4 a.m.
Yeah, and I'll get the arena watered. Then boys start saddling horses. They have a list of horses. And then
how many guys you got working for you?
I've got three in a stall help. And they'll start saddling. And then I'll wait for that water wagon to fill up, and I'll help them saddle and stuff like that. And I'll level the boxes and get everything situated. And as soon as daybreak hits and you can see enough to pin the steers, we pin deep and get after it.
Rock and roll. How many usually get done in a day? Does it vary?
It varies. Depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I mean, being a self-employed person, you got water lines break. You got everything, could happen. And it all seems to happen in one day. But I bet we can get between 35 and 40, I bet, on a good day.
That's rolling.
That's rolling. And I've got, like I said, 3 guys working for me. They're loping horses and roping and stuff like that. And I get off one and get on the other. And some horses take 3 steers. Some of them take 12 or 15 or 20. And we just adjust from there. And it's a flowing deal. And it works out really good.
And usually what time do you start pulling the reins back? This time of year.
The last couple of days, it's been 106, 107 by noon, 1 o'clock. It's time to kick steers out.
1 o'clock, yeah. Yeah, because they don't take it. The ropes don't take it, and the horses.
And
it's hard on them as well.
And to tell you the
Do you have a cover over your box?
Not yet.
So you're straight, staying in the heat.
Yeah, and it's not yet. So the last couple of days, we kick steers out at 11 because, especially my black cattle, they would just sit in the lane, just puffing. Couldn't catch air. You know what? It's not worth killing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So let's just kick it out.
I'm with you. I like roping in the mornings. My wife is nocturnal. We've got lights, and I'll dabble with them every once in a while, but I'm not full-time like you are, but I like being done at the end of the day. I enjoy firing up the old barbecue or putting some beer on ice like old Hank Jr. talked about, and I enjoy the evenings.
And hanging out with your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that's what I've been doing all week.
And I'm getting to the age where I've got Ray. She's 2.5. I've got my little boy Ryle. He's on the way. He'll be here in Christmas.
Congrats.
Thanks. And as soon as I get in the house, I don't want to go back outside.
Yeah.
I like wrestling with Ray
and
reading her books and feeding her, and we say the blessing before supper. And
isn't it the coolest thing being dad?
It's awesome.
It's something that, especially as big of a guy as you are, isn't it crazy how a little girl can just melt your heart and just grab your little finger and we're doing whatever she says we're going to go do.
You know what? And she's 2.5, and I bet she's slept in our bed for a year. And every time me and Denny, my wife, have a conversation like, hey, she needs to start sleeping in her bed. Like, this is time. And the next time, we'll put her in bed, and 30 minutes later, she'll come back to bed with us, and that's where she stays. Denny don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Like last night, she didn't want pajamas on. So guess what? After bath, we put a diaper on and crawl in bed, had a bubba, and we just stayed right there. And we snuggled. And
it's hot out. It makes sense.
Right. It was awesome.
Yeah, it is. I've looked into it just a little bit, not a lot. Like, I'm not a psychologist by any means, but I've been wondering, like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, all that stuff. And Jackie's deal is like, look, they're going to want their own independence after a while, but until then, like, and I'm with her. They sleep. Of course, they sleep with her on the road, because they're
right.
The same bed, but rodeoing. But when they come home, if you guys want to pile in, if you guys want to go to your room, great. If you want to pile in, great. And so I don't know what it does one way or another, but other than the fact that I'm pretty sure after a certain age they're going to want their own independence. So we'll cross that bridge when it gets there, right?
I have a very good friend and a very good client. His name is Chris Bradford, and me and him got to talk about it here a few months ago, and he's like, Cade, once she leaves that bed, she'll never be there again.
Yep.
He said, so enjoy.
That's kind of how we look at it too.
Why she wants to.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what Jackie talks about. Like, due to the fact they still think we're
the best.
The best. Take it in, soak it up, do it every day. I'm along the same lines.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, I tell you what's funny about the difference for me between Creed and Journey is, Creed's my little man. He's a lot like you. He's a little sheepdog. He tends to people. He makes sure them girls are good on the road. Like, I tell him, like, you're my eyes now. When I'm gone, like,
yeah,
you tend to stuff. You make sure nothing bad happens. And he does. He's got that eye on Journey like a little sheepdog.
Yeah.
He's great. But that little guy, when he first got here, like he had my soul. It was a different feeling like I've ever had in my entire life. That bond, that you had with your dad, and that bond now that you have with your son. It's so different. And it's one of those things, honestly, you can't tell it to anyone who doesn't have a kid. It's over your head. It's something that shows up when it happens.
Right.
And when that little guy hit the ground, like, I was standing right there, and I blocked the nurse out when she was putting a diaper on because I thought she was being too rough with him. And I've never really got in anyone's way that I knew more than me. And it was an instinct that I've never seen myself have ever. And I think I called it.
You were a little older whenever you hit.
Yeah, I was a little more seasoned.
Yeah.
And I think Jackie I called her a bitch. I said, "Bitch, get back." And it was an out of body experience.
It just came.
I don't talk that way. I don't freaking say anything. And it was literally, and Jackie's like, "What? Charlie, what?" I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing." She was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not sure." I've never felt that before. It was so wild. And then when Journey got here, that was a different feeling. I was nervous. I was extremely nervous. My little girl, am I going to be a girl dad? How do you love two people? I had a lot of nerves going in. And then when she got old enough, started calling me dad, started crawling up underneath my armpit.
Melts your heart.
Oh my gosh. Never. I was like, wow, this is crazy how the two can be in two different spots. It was wild on just kind of like say that those instincts God puts in you when that stage comes. Because like I said, you can't prepare for it. It's nothing you're going to understand until you have them.
I'll tell you what, so whenever Denny and I were expecting Ray, Denny was loping horse around for me. And she gets a phone call. And she comes up to him and she says, "Hey, I just got the blood work back on." We didn't know who he or she was. Said, "We just got the blood work back." I says, "Yeah." And she's like, "You got your cowboy." I says, "Shut up." She's like, "No, you got your cowboy." And I give her a big hug and a kiss. And then we go in for, several weeks later, going for a sonogram or the ultrasound. I guess the next one's the ultrasound. And the doctor, she's ultrasound Denny's belly. And she's like, "I just can't find his little wee-wee." And I says, "Hold on a minute. It ain't little." And so she keeps going around there and she can't find it. And she's like, well, let's go in here in the office and let's figure this out.
Might be a little cold. Let's go warm up a little.
Right. And so sure enough, we get in the office. Well, and it's just the first mistake they've had in years is we had a girl. They give us the blood work back on somebody else for Ray. And I tell you what, and it was a bummer.
That's a roller coaster of emotions, I'll bet, right there. For sure.
Hell, I already called Lane Ivy. I called some of my buddies that's got girls on the ground like, oh, and I'm just talking crap, you know? And then I get this answer that we've got a girl instead of a boy. And it's like, holy smokes. But then once we had Ray, I wouldn't have it no other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy how God puts you where everything's supposed to be.
Like that little boy, you know, I still wrestle with Ray and stuff like that. And I'm sure if Ryle is going to be his name, if he was first, we just roughhouse all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like Ray, like she's mine.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to touch her.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. And it's crazy. Like you said, what God plans for you and puts in your life that you don't even expect. And it turns out.
Yeah, so wild. So wild. So I'm so happy for where you're at in life, because it's a fun spot, man. It's you got your own place and kicking ass and with where you're at. And then when the kids come along and everything's cool, it's fun to watch and it's a fun place to be. But speaking of kicking ass, man, how about that Wild West rope horse futurity that they had? Was it been a couple weeks now?
It's been a couple weeks
in Walsburg, Utah.
That's one of the best futurities a guy has ever been to, can ever go to. Like you can't really describe what it was like. It was a huge outdoor arena. There's a ton of money added.
How cool is that to be outside? Because we never experienced that hardly anymore.
We never get to go outside. Just here in Texas and Oklahoma,
can't rely on the weather here.
Can't do it.
So everything, if it's going to be a big event, it has to be inside because you can't rely on the weather. And then out there, just being outside again, it's like being a kid again. Almost.
And I tell you what, they said Utah was supposed to be in the 50s at nighttime and 80s in the daytime. They're full of shit. It was hot that first day.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
warm.
It's been the second day because I worked horses during the breakaway. And I didn't have any 4-year-old head horses. I didn't have to help anybody in the 4-year-old. And so I worked horses that day and then showed up. I guess it's been the second day. So it's been that Friday. It was hot.
Yeah. It's a different heat. The sun's hotter, it feels like. Here, it just kind of melts you. We got that humidity a little bit. But yeah, over there, that dry heat. The cool thing about out west is the shade feels good because there's a breeze. You can get out from the sun, man, the shade feels good. Even in the heat of the day, it seems like. And in the mornings, man, you got a while before all of a sudden it's going to hunker down. But those mornings are nice.
Well, that's what I seen. So Billy Jack, we was loping around that first day. And I says, what the hell you got a sweater on for? He's like, well, it's chilly. I says, dude, embrace it. We're going to go back.
They're going back. Yeah.
It's going to be hot.
That's no lie. Yeah. How about that sponsorship wise? They had $405,000 and that was guaranteed to first.
Unreal.
So the futurity healing. So the 6 and under and the futurity the heading, the 6 and under, those were guaranteed $100,000 a man for first.
The 5 and 6 head and 5 and 6 heel was guaranteed $100,000.
And then the
4-year-old
4 and unders, those were guaranteed
50.
$50,000 to win the head and $50,000 to win the heeling.
And I don't know what the breakaway. What did it pay?
It paid $20,000. Yeah, so it had some money added too. I didn't see. That's probably somewhere in that $405,000 that was added to it. Yeah, it paid $20,000 to win the breakaway.
And then we're not even mentioning the intermediate added money too.
Right.
So that's where it all adds up.
I thought it was really cool that the total payout was $1 million. $1,075,000 was the payout. It was 100% payback futurity.
It's unheard of.
So like the healing, we'll go down the line here of Joseph, but like 2nd through 13th, I paid 13 holes. So 2nd through 13th was 100% of your fees. So they paid for the stock contract. They paid for the judging. They paid for...
They bought the steers. It was the best set of steers we've ever
They
rode.
look good. They look good. M brands? Oh, yeah, baby. That's the filet mignon.
I'm telling you. And don't even put salt and pepper on it. Just cook it and eat it. It was...
Yeah.
They were outstanding. Of course, you had some of your eliminators, and you had some of the better ones. That's in every herd you get to.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the best set of steers I've ever roped in my life.
Yeah,
I roped like terrible. I didn't catch very many of them, but they were still great.
How did the horses work? Because I seen where you were 2 out in the heeling. And that's very unlikely. That never happens.
So, in the
headers or the judges get you? Which one was it?
Stinking judges get you every time. Judges and headers. That's
yeah,
combination.
I hear you.
Stinking Brock Hansen.
Oh, you had him? Oh, yeah, you're fine then. He probably scared the shit out of your heel horse when he run up there and just frickin' put the salt on the frickin' head loop right there. Gosh dang it, the other day at Fort Worth, he threw a head loop that was so loud. You could hear it echo. You could hear it echo through the building. It echoed out of that sumbitch's frickin' horn wrap through his skull, down his nostrils, like pow! Like, you know, I mean, I've been doing clinics for a while, and to see somebody throw some salt on that like that.
With a 3-strainer.
Jiminy crisp.
So Brock, not to get off subject, so Brock, whenever I went on my own, we bought our place, stuff like that, and you'll have to get him on here, and he's going to talk about this panel that I had.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that the other day at Fort Worth.
It's the toughest stinking panel you ever seen in your life. And anyway, so it took forever when Brock was heading for me not to want to cheat the turn, because that head rope just goes on so precise, and you're thinking head rope goes on, steer's moving. No, he just jelly rolls him around there. Like, hey, I got the jelly. Bring your peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it took forever for me to just trust.
Relax, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, but no.
What a helper, though. What a job he's done.
And
both ends.
Both ends.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best switch enders. I think if Brock Hansen wanted to make the finals heeling.
Oh, yeah. He used to heel for me.
No wonder he didn't make the finals.
Well, we jackpotted together. We won a lot. But yeah, if he had a full-time rodeo with me, I probably would have crippled him. But yeah, we jackpotted a lot together when I was first getting my start. Loved having that guy back there. You know, whatever the steer did, he just read it. I mean,
and he doesn't do nothing stupid.
Yeah,
he knows.
Very, very high team roping IQ for sure.
He knows when he needs to throw fast. He knows whenever he's heading, he knows when he needs to press.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows when he needs to catch, heading or heeling. And that's huge. You got some of them guys that, like, they're a cool away guy, and then they mess up sometimes going that fast. And then you got some of them healers that they come around there and they're looking for a spot to put it down. And Brock's, he's feeling the situation.
Yep.
He's soft in the head and he's soft in the heeling. And as aggressive as he is, you don't see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he does a great job. Does a really, 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 really good job. Yeah, how about old Joey over there in the heeling? Seems like we'll stay on the heeling here real quick, but first, second, and third at that futurity. He won $100,000 for first. He won $33,600 for second. $26,888 for third. And this ain't counting helping. This ain't counting. I don't know what he got done in the 4-year-old.
He won second.
He had over a 200 week. $200,000.
Joey did great.
Let's just say for the weekend. It's pretty much a weekend jackpot in a way. So
Joey did something that, he won 2-3 just at Fort Worth too in the 5 and 6-year-old. And had a good chance in the 4-year-old too. And I think his header popped it off. High callback in the 4-year-old there at Fort Worth. Joey is roping like Joey used to rope.
Joey's he's just a winner, man. Gosh dang it, man. When I roped with him, you know what's so funny? He always told me, man, Chuck, I'm lucky. I'm just lucky. And, he talks about it so much that he does talk a lot of that into fruition. And it's one thing to have he's a great horseman. He's a great roper. But to hit it all just right at the biggest one of the year, man, that's what everyone dreams of. And to knock a 1, 2, 3 out of that freaking deal and then 200, that's awesome.
So I wouldn't call it luck.
Oh, no.
So
I just always like stealing his terms. I'm just lucky, Chuck. But I mean, the one thing is, it's a hell of a lot better than saying, "Oh, that shit never happens for me."
Right.
I'd way rather have someone freaking in the rig going, "I'm just lucky. Good shit's gonna happen."
Right. So I was always brought up that luck and Lucifer start with the same 3 letters. It's not luck.
That is interesting.
It's blessed.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's for preparation and persistence and whatever you hard work, that's when everything comes together. Stinking, me and Joey talked like the last couple of years after, I had success and stuff like that. And he's like, Cade, I'm coming. Like, you got some badass horses. I'm coming. Mine are green. Well, now it's his turn, and he's dominant. Like, he has kicked our tails. Him and Billy Jack all year long have kicked our tails in. And I'm on the greener side. But Joey, if you're listening, I'll be here in October.
Love it. I love it. I tell you what, Bill's been doing a good job. That head horse that he sold, Cody Snow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. What an athlete.
So I didn't watch, obviously, that CD Diamond Billy or Billy Diamond, whatever his name is. Phenomenal. Like, phenomenal. I thought he was hands down the first round winner. He's supposed to be. I thought.
Yeah, Diamond Billy. CD
Billy.
Diamond and Billy Smooth Cat. He won third over there.
And that horse he's just kind of a hard luck horse. Like when Shane owned him, and then Billy was riding him for Shane Boston, and then they'd place here and there, but there'd be a mistake here or there. Well, like at Houston, he got 2 reruns in a row. Just terrible steers. And got 2 reruns in a row, and that horse, no fault of his own, Bill didn't know what the next steer was going to be, right? And you get 2 reruns in a row, and you're supposed to back this 5-year-old in there and
make him sit.
Make him sit. And next thing you know, this horse just stands there, and he gets the barrier. Like, it's just one of them freak deals. Like, that horse just had hard luck. And then, like, Cody Snow bought him. Started rodeo, jackpot on rodeo.
Seen him at Greeley.
Rode him at Salinas.
Mm-hmm.
And
then that horse came back from Salinas and then won third. That's rank.
That's rank.
That's
for
rank,
a 5-year-old.
For a 5-year-old.
Just like Eric Rogers' horse.
Yeah, how about that? So Eric won 8th and won almost 10,000. And that horse is a 5-year-old. Just came back from winning Salinas.
And then taking Spicy Grip.
And
won first
there as a freaking 5-year-old.
And that's 2. Actually, you could count.
You take my 6-year-old to Salinas, that so much will be still in the air because he'll be blown sky high.
Well, dude, you take the start from Utah. It's a 14-6 box with 1 under. So, like, the steer's not very sneaking far in front of you.
How long was the box?
14-6.
Oh, it was dead. Real dead. Wow.
And you had to see 1 under, so you had to see a front rib to middle.
Wow.
Depending on a lot of them steers didn't start, they were fresh enough. And you take them 2 5-year-olds, them extraordinary 5-year-olds, Diamond Billy and whatever the bay horse of Eric Rogers' name is.
Missing the casino, and it's out of a Oklahoma Breeze bar, Missing Frost.
And they stand there.
It's a big horse, too.
Huge. And they just stand there and score, and then just haul butt, and then just melt through the turn and face.
Wow.
That's saying something.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, I watched him up over there at the Spicer, and it does look easy, but that's a big animal.
Big.
He's a hoss.
Who'd you have at Spicer?
I rode with Corey Kuntz. We were in the Century. There was we were hoping that there was going to be an open Century incentive, and there wasn't.
There wasn't. St. California.
It was so much fun, though. Gosh, dang, it was fun to compete at that level again.
I think that's the best open jackpot.
It is. I like it in the BFI World Series Finals in Vegas. I love the enter once, 6-header. Use your horse. I love it. And I still got Cotton. He was great there. He wasn't great in the corner and handling them, but I love the fact, man, I'm telling you, stayed right between the reins, went when I wanted. And where I was able to rope from was where they were winning the rodeo on. So, or the roping on. So, yeah, that was good confidence. And then, like I said, I learned now is when I get home, I need to get him a little bit more ready as far as turning him. But now it was fun. God, it's fun to compete against some guys again. It's good to see him again.
Absolutely.
I always loved right there showing up with a fresh set of legs and been sleeping, 8 hours a day and shit like that. And then these guys get over here, they're freaking ain't shaved in weeks and they're just exhausted and the bags under their eyes. And they're like, hey guys, how the hell are you? And they're like, fine.
Anybody got a cup of coffee?
Anyone seen the coffee stand? Just wore out. Yeah. And they still got another, and it's just now starting the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Like those guys are wrong dry.
Borrow deodorant I can borrow.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always fun to go back there because I remember being there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different mentality right now. I mean, these guys are Some of these guys are past the point of burnout, and you got another quarter left. This is crunch time now for a lot of guys. If you're in the top 10 right now, the top 20, I mean, your gut is just, it's
things can change anytime.
Yeah. If you're seventh right now, you're still not in.
The wrong person hits that you don't need to hit.
You got that Governor's Cup. You got, it's from now till the end of September. Like you're just watching the standings, roping when you can, and just the pressure does not stop until October 1st.
How many rodeos do I have left?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keeping track of that and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. But what about old Clay Smith? Like that guy, I'm such a fan of Clay. And a cowboy, freaking grew up riding. He could ride anything. Just a hell of a jockey. And I studied that guy a lot when I was my last couple of years of rodeo, and I studied him a lot just because of how well he rode. It was so easy for him to. His swing was high, but he was always ahead of his horse, and the horse went right where he wanted. He was always able to rope or run up in there or do whatever he wanted and stay out of their way, but still guide him.
So Clay grew up showing horses.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew he rode a lot.
The AQHA and stuff like that, and he grew up helping, and Clay's he's an athlete, is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy can heel, he can head, he can rope calves, he can bulldog, he can trip steers. Didn't he win the Ironman one year?
I feel like he did.
I mean,
because he's dang sure always been there, and he's no slouch at it.
That takes an athlete,
mm-hmm.
and you got to know your horses. And they, had them traders and stuff growing up, and he had to learn how to get by them, had to train them, get by them, and rope around them if that's what it took. And I mean, the boy's handy.
Yeah.
He's got 2 stinging gold buckles, Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So he won it on lead on, and that was a Corona Cartel Charm Dance, which I believe came from the Reliant Ranches.
Don't know.
I believe he came from the Reliant Ranches, and I think Bobby Moat trained him, and I think they bought him. So it was cool too for Bobby to get a little bit of a win.
Oh, absolutely.
Being a roughie, team roping enthusiast.
He's been working at it.
Him and I are buddies from Oregon, and his work ethic is unreal. Like, this dude is a workaholic. I mean, all in. And you can tell just being around him how he won the world in the bareback ride so many times.
Well, that stinking Bob Moat's got to be what? How old's Bob?
He's older than I am, so he's probably 47, 48.
And he's still rock hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just a student of the game. Go at Trevor's, go everywhere you can, just trying to learn something. So it was really cool to see those guys because it's fun to have a horse in the race. I've sold some horses and watched guys done good on them. Like, that's fun. That's so fun. But yeah, they've done a good job with them horses down there. And to see them get to the top at the biggest one. I mean, this futurity is almost like a finals as much as it paid out. I mean, this made a year for a lot of guys.
And this is what Jay and I have talked Wadhams, and we're very, very close friends, and this is what he's eventually trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
It's stepping stones.
Yeah. Imagine if there was 4 of them, or 2 of them, or 3 of them.
Holy crap! How things would change.
Imagine what the earnings,
the LTEs on especially mares and stallions, and what that does. And this is. If this continues as it's going to, because like I said, we're a relatively new association. I think we're 14, 15 years old at the tops, maybe. And we're going to get to where the cutting is.
Well, I think that wasn't the first one in 2017.
Well, they had some before.
Oh, okay. Got
a long time before. And this is before I moved to Clay's and stuff like that. But they had some before, and I don't know what happened, but it just stopped.
Got it.
Anyway, so it's been going on for just a minute, and there's a little hiatus. But yeah, 17, I think, was the first one. And I broke the stinking Hilleberger 4th back on a horse of Seth Jordan's to win first or second. But anyway, I mean, it's headed that direction.
Yeah.
Like the finals is going to be good, and it just takes time.
Yeah. Well, it's just amazing, like the sponsorships. When I talked to Ren this morning, just everybody in and out of the industry that got behind this and just wanted to make a splash. He sent me a list of like all of his platinum sponsors. I mean, good Lord, he had High Moon Cattle, he had Reliance Ranch, Bigger Staff Outfitting, PDI, Taylor Construction, Quanta, Delsco, Northwest, K&H, Green, TJ's Tire, Pros, Summit Line, L-Tech, Milwaukee Tools, United Rentals, Premier Rope, Horses. Just went down the line. Hillstrom Crane, Flag Ranch. Just golly. These are premier sponsors. Like, holy smokes.
Everybody's getting behind this.
Can you imagine what it would look like if, you talk about somebody that these guys hustled around and got some things going.
Well, I'll say hustled around. They hustled around, but how many sponsors heard what's going on? They called Ren or they called Mr. Reggie Probst and they're like, hey, we want in. What can we do?
Yeah.
We're a fan of this game.
Well, we talked about it before too. Success attracts success. When Reggie Probst and the Richard family, extremely successful families, and so yeah, they're in. How many other people are in? I thought it was really cool too because it was at the Probst Ranch, and Reggie Probst got a beautiful place, doesn't he? Over there, how about that place? Oh
Gorgeous.
My gosh, just the entrance coming in there in the indoor, and I thought it was cool. I texted him this morning, and he had something really nice to say. In the fact of, it said his family and the Richard family and all the team, they worked hard to get this ready. But he also talked too about the amount of people that came early, like Trevor and Miles came early. My wife was out there staying. The amount of people that helped with the breakaway. I know they said Miles was out there raking the boxes and, helping out. They helped, break the steers in and come out a couple days early and stuff like that. And just jumped in and helped. Like, how cool was that? And then they talked about after the roping, Sunday morning, said after it was all over, he said it was just my family and a few team members cleaning up. And he said, what I noticed was how little garbage there was throughout the stalls, the RV parks. He said, people really do care about a private facility and, really try to leave it how they found it. And no one disrespected anything. And it wasn't a disaster. Like, everything was just so good. He said he was impressed on how much different it was, a group of people, than your average rodeo group. And he said very respectful and very grateful. And he said it exceeded all of our expectations. Pretty damn cool.
It's cool. And it goes to show you the group of people that don't go from place to place to place.
Mm-hmm.
Like us trainers. And I'm not trying to stereotype us by no means, but us trainers, we've had our places trashed. People show up and they leave, manure in your driveway and horses paw holes in it, and they just leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't try to scoop it up and level it off or whatever. We know what it takes. We know how our place wants to be, and we also know, man, you get a bunch of people in here to rope, and they just want to show up and rope.
Yeah,
and hell, they might leave a water bottle here, a Gatorade bottle there, and I've got trash cans all around my place. Mm-hmm. I don't like picking up after people. And and I guarantee, like Clay Logan worked for him, and it is the same deal. And pieces of rubber, a little bit goes a long way. Just pick it up and throw it away. If your horse pulls a hole in the ground, fill it in.
Yeah, go grab that turd herding rake and grab the other end of it and push it back in.
It don't take long.
It don't take long. Probably good for you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I said, I truly enjoy the fraternities. I enjoy the culture. I enjoy being around you guys. It is so much fun to be around what I call you guys artists. You guys are truly just the stuff that you guys figure out with what this horse needs and the things like that. But together around you guys, it's so much fun because everyone's truly rooting for everyone. Now, everyone wants to win.
Oh, absolutely.
Love that. But when I go there, it's not like I feel out of place. Like, everybody's just so dang nice. And I've been out of the game for a while. But what I noticed too was also how well they respected my wife. It was really cool when she showed up a couple years ago. She felt so out of place, and she's been getting, when you're in a girl event, there's a lot of, I don't know if you've seen, what is it, that Caitlin Clark,
basketball.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing, and stuff like that. And there for a while, things were hard out there on that old rodeo trail. And when she got there, the fraternity that one year, she was like, well, first of all, she got there and she cussed me. She's like, why am I here? What am I doing here? There's Cade.
On the big sawhorse.
Mm-hmm. There's Cade. There's Miles. Why am I here? Like, why? Because I entered her. I said, you come over here. You need to come over here for a while. Why am I here? I said, I'll show you here in a second. And then she placed in the first round or something. Won won second, and the 4-year-old won the intermediate. Won like 30-some-thousand, 35,000.
Placed in the average too
before the short round even started. I said, that's why you're here. But I said, just get around these guys. Like this is a great culture here. So much fun. Like y'all are such great guys in the fact of it's a brotherhood. It's something that it's not the same as rodeo.
We have to be because we head for each other, we heal for each other. I don't so much head for a bunch of people, but I heal for quite a few guys. And you know what? I mean, just like the first year that I won the fraternity, Colby Lovell was second callback on Raise a Pet, and he was helping me, and I'm high callback on 7-Star Globe, and he goes out there and he sets the record. He's like a 237, 238, like makes an outstanding run. And so he gets off his heel horse. He gets on his best head horse, Bartender, that he won the world on in 2020 with Paul Eves.
The roan.
Big horse. And gets his best rope out. Then he turns me on and we win the fraternity. That's the brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there jealousy? Probably so.
It's hard not to have, to be the best guys out there, trainers, ropers, and that ego and stuff like that is there. But one cool thing about it, and you don't feel it. I don't feel it anyway. Not when I go.
No, absolutely.
Of course, I'm not a threat. It's just fun to be there.
Crap.
It's just it's just fun to be there. Like I enjoy being around the best guys in the world. I've always been comfortable there, and to get around guys. For me, I always tell everyone that's my clinic. Everyone, I have 40 clinics a year, and talk about how much I appreciate them coming. But I said I still go to clinics myself. I go to fraternities. Like that's my clinic. Like when you got Joseph and Trevor and Miles, and we're watching videos, and they're talking about what they're doing and how they're trying to articulate this run and put it together, and to have different styles and stuff like that. But just being able to hear what they're trying to do, and just like I said, it's an art, and that stuff's so much fun. Last week that was a $1,250 clinic. Going there watching Rogers and Paul Eves just put on a clinic. The amount of stuff I learned right there, just being able to sit over there, and me and Colin Vaughn on just warming up. But we had a 10-minute conversation on training, just head horse, what Andy's doing. Andrew Ward, I'm like, how the heck does he keep his horses up and shoulders up there through the corner, and just talking about this and talking about that. And you leave there and you're armed with stuff that you can't wait to go home and practice.
Well, it's crazy though, because me and Colin's talked a lot. How can Colin and Paul Eves, I used to rope with him quite a bit. How can they stick them horses up there? 5 and 6-year-olds. And I guess he's got Apollo now come from Cole Davison. Paul does. Great horse.
Mm-hmm.
They stick them horses up there, and them horses just wait. Just wait. Like they're waiting for the turn to come so they can heal them legally on the first or second jump.
Consistently.
And them horses they're just patient. They're just waiting, just holding out. Like, hey, you tell them when to go, boss.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. And Colin, he asked them 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds. So over there at not Oklahoma City as well, but Ardmore at Driggersdale, and then Ardmore at Jaysdale, Colin beat the brakes off of us. Like they were making realistic jackpot runs, and them horses look phenomenal.
And then just goes out there amongst the world right now and just doing it up there at the highest level.
On the same horses.
That's so cool. He is really, really making he's a 2-time world champion, and, his stats speak for itself, but also like what he's doing in the fraternities and in the world right now where he's at is he's just that quiet winner. He didn't not a spark behind it, but like when you get underneath of it, like it is truly impressive.
So I've talked to Colin, so I was always anti-chain bit. Like you use a chain to tie a gate up with. Right?
Yeah. My dad said the same thing.
And so I always talk to Colin about it, and he's told me the quirks and stuff about chain bits, and you can really get a horse elevated and picked up. And then I showed up at Ardmore in the 4-year-old, and I had a chain bit on a horse, and he's like, "So what are you doing with that?" So I'm just trying to get his head up. And I says, "Where are your chain rattles at?" And he said, "Well, it's funny. You're going to chain bits, and I'm away from chain bits right now." What are we doing here?
Swapping out.
Yeah, these Barry Guillory's and riding Emmons. And I'm like, here, I got a $40 chain bit on this horse. It makes me feel real good.
Yeah, what a stud though. Gosh dang. I love watching him. I love watching him heel. And what I love too is like just how relaxed those horses are, how confident they are in the job. I've watched him. He's been out. We've roped together and, just watching how well he rides and the horses understand what he's asking. They're not confused. They're not looking back at him. Like you can tell, like he's built them so much confidence and he just keeps it simple.
So I'm going to go back to him and Paul.
Yeah. I would say the both. Mm-hmm.
Their styles are different, but their body posture in the saddle, their position down the arena, and their approach to the cows the same.
Mm-hmm.
They never put them horses in a bind. And you can put Jade in the same category. You can put Rich in the same category, and the Champ, which Champ comes from a different area with bigger cattle, bigger horses. But they never put them horses in a bind where them horses got to crawl out and find a spot to go back to. Like they just set them up. I'll watch them all the time. I'll get on YouTube and stuff and look, and their body posture, like their shoulders going down the arena, they're toward the steer, that their hands are in the horse. They're holding the horses a little bit more than I like to, but they're never in a spot to get out of. They're always in a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not in a great spot, it was the header's fault. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Or the steer did something so drastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's just that smoothness. Yeah. That's what I love watching both of them. And exactly what you're talking about. It just looks so smooth. Like that steer that Colin bagged at Reno in the short round, just all day long. And then you watch Salinas and the Spicer Grip and Paul Lee's same thing, just all day long, just so smooth.
And Colin's got a 12-foot loop and Paul's got a 6-foot loop.
Yeah, definitely different roping styles for sure. But the riding is the smoothness that you're talking about. It's just an easy setup that they're putting themselves in. That left hand and feet that they have mastered the art of it's so fun to watch.
I'm telling you, I think they're the best.
Yeah.
And I think they're the most underrated.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, they win and just don't put a lot of splash to it. And a lot of them, what that does is because they make it look so easy. And when you make it look easy, that means you're freaking really good with that left-handed feet.
So whenever I was a kid, Jake Barnes and Cleo Brown Cooper came to my dad's place, and they was going to try a head horse, and I wasn't hardly big enough to rope on a horse, and so they was roping right there, and I'll never forget this. And I asked the Champ, I said, "Hey," I says, "what do you think? What's your philosophy on healing?" Which I didn't say philosophy, like what do you try to do when you heal? And he says, "Cade, never forget this. A great healer will never make you say wow." You ever heard that?
I heard Rich Skelton say that if a healer brings a crowd to its feet, he did it wrong.
Same deal.
Yeah. Yeah. You quietly win.
That's something.
Yeah, it is. And you see it in those two for sure.
Yeah.
But your stats has really pretty cool, especially like I said, I love where you're at and the fact that where you're still growing, still building, but you came from the AQHA because that's kind of where everything started. And 3-time world champion. Now that the rope horse futurity has taken off, you're a 2-time world champion back-to-back in the American rope horse futurity. So your stats, I mean, those are great wins. Those are, especially how long have you had just your own place?
So we bought our place in August of 19, and I was still working for Clay Logan. And then I left Clay the end of March of 20.
So you started building kind of in a rough time because that's when everything went up, huh?
It was perfect timing to buy the place.
To buy it, yep. I totally agree there. Yep.
And then it's a funny story. So I give Clay my notice March 1st, and it was an emotional.
I can only imagine.
Very emotional. I was there for 7 years, 2 months, and anyway, so March 31st was my last day,
and that's when the whole world. Pretty close, right about the time the whole world tipped over.
That was a Tuesday. Wow. I had 9 head of outside horses. I had Clay's salary. I had health insurance through him. And we was going to leave there. My wife had a good job in Mineral Wells, working for Data Mars. And then, so that was a Tuesday when I left. And she called me. We were supposed to go to the courthouse on Saturday and get married. And so literally she called me Friday. I'm going to run to town and do something. She called me. She's in tears. Good friend of mine, Jay Apter's with me. And she's like, "I just got let go." I says, do what? She said, I just got let go. That's when COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
The oil crashed. That's whenever you could, damn near make money buying oil. And so she was a marketing manager for that section of Data Mart, and it's a global wide deal. Every marketing manager got let go. So that happened on Friday. We get married on Saturday. I had 5 horses go home that Sunday because everything crashed. So now I don't have Clay's salary. I ain't got his health insurance. I don't have them 5 horses. Then you don't have a job. And we've got this stinking mortgage that won't let go because of circumstances, as everybody knows, and didn't know what to do. And we just prayed about it. And we just kept grinding. And next thing you know, we've got a full-fledged business.
That's a wild start, though. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about something that's completely unpredictable. Everything aligned, with where you're at and how everything started. And then all of a sudden it's this, just something that is going to go down in history. And just think, like, you guys came out of it. There's a lot of guys that hardly did, gosh, dang it. It was such and the sad part is, like I said, this was all, we can get political as you want, but gosh, dang it. That should have never happened, but no. It is what it is. But luckily here in Texas, it didn't last long.
It didn't last as long as other states.
Mm-hmm. So luckily it was a good reminder of how precious life is, how precious where we live, how great our industry is. And we were back and running in a pretty, more or less, as opposed to most people, for sure. But yeah, that was a wild ass time.
Yeah.
So you talked about working for Clay Logan. You worked there for 7 years. Is that right?
7 years and 2 months.
So when you were growing up, you have a heck of a bloodlines, between Boyd Rice, Ronnie Rice. It seems like horsemanship and horseman has just kind of always been probably in your blood or in your family.
So
even at a young age.
I was raised riding cutters. I broke my first 2-year-old at 5 years old. Killed my first steer by 2 feet at 5 years old.
The cowboy toy?
Live beef, bud.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The first one I ever threw at.
Live beef, freaking 2-footer.
Yeah. And anyway, and it was we had a little place in Chapel Hill, and it's on the grass.
Now, where are you from?
I'm from Sealy, Texas.
Sealy. Where's that at?
So,
South, isn't it?
You know where Brenham's at?
Okay.
South of Brenham, about 30 miles. And so it was on live grass. Like, Dad didn't have a tractor. And as the arena grew up, you just rode. And sure stuff, it was on live, like Pendleton.
That's awesome.
And I grew up riding cutters. And as it progressed, I figured out growing up that I'm a hell of a lot better going left than I am going right. And so I always loved rope. Me and my brother and my sister, we loved rope. We get through riding cutters, and that might be 115 with 100% humidity down there.
Places.
And we'd get colts out, and we just track around steers. And
no kidding.
And Dad would come out nighttime and rope with us, and we just always had rope in our hand. And so I got a job after I graduated high school with Corky and Brenda Weeks down there in Artesia Wells, Texas. And I went down there and I broke a bunch of colts for them and trained a lot of rope horses for them in between semesters in college, and then a year and a half after that. And that's kind of where I got my start in not roping, but training roping horses and doing this for a living. And they treated me very, very well.
And how old were you then?
I was 18 whenever I left the house.
So you learned this business early.
Learned it early. And then I was down there. I'll tell you what, it's a funny story. Dad gave me and we didn't have apps on our phones back then. And Dad gave me a map.
Oh, Rand McNally.
Where to go. I literally graduated high school. The next day, hey, you're going to Artesia Wells. So where's Artesia Wells at? What am I doing down there? Well, you're going to pack your shit and you're going to go down there and get a job. And so he gave me directions down there. And I hit Pearsall, and I'm thinking, where in the hell am I at? This is in nowhere, no man's land. And so sure enough, exit 50.
Where is it?
South. It's 47 miles north of Laredo, right off 35.
Down there.
And so exit 56, go underneath the overpass, take a right, go to the dirt road, take a left. It's first entrance on the right. And I was down there, and I rode a lot of horses, and they give me a lot of opportunity, and I can never rethink them or repay them for what they got me going in. And then Clay called me. I was
And
down
how
there
long were you down there?
in between semesters of college, and then a year and a half, about 6 years. And then Clay called. I met him at a horse show, not a horse show. I had met him at a U.S. Open in Waco, and Replay Blue Boon was in his prime, the good horse, the real good horse. And I met him at a roping there in Waco, and we got to visiting. And Clay told me, he said, "Hey," I asked him, I said, "How'd you get that horse just crawling around on his belly right there and just taking a jerk?" And he says, "Man, I just throw fast and dally." That's what he told me. And I was 18, 19, 20 years old. And so I went back to Artesia, Wells, Texas, and all them colts, I would throw fast and dally. And this Corky Weeks thought I lost my mind. And I ruined a bunch of them. And so then Clay called, and I took the job with him. And I got in his program, and he just literally just make the turn right there and just track across. Like, put speed on your rope, let them horses sit the ground with cow, put speed on your rope, and once you let off, sit down, let them find that ground. Let them find that ground. And I says, "Hold on a second." I says, "This is not what you told me." He says, "What are you talking about?" I says, "Do you remember the conversation in Waco, Texas?" He's like, "No." I says, "I was young." I says, "But I literally asked you about replay and how you got that horse doing that." And he's like, "Yeah." And he says, I said, "You don't remember what you told me?" He says, "No." I says, "You told me to throw fast and dally." And he starts laughing. And he says, "I do remember that." I says, "Clay, I ruined more stinking horses just by doing that." But yeah, I moved to Clay's, and man, that guy's incredible.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I remember going over there a few times when you were working for him, and you know what I loved so much about it. Like when I would get there, like you were such a good caretaker. Like you showed where everything was at. Like you were real clear about everything and tour. It was a very accommodating. You know, great. I mean, what probably people business would be calling, you know, customer service. Like just a great dude to be able to feel welcome. Here's where this at. And then I remember every horse that I came and tried, it was exactly what you guys told me. Exactly. And, you know, respected the hell out of that for both of you.
Yeah. Well, like Clay always told me, and this is something I'll live by the sword and die by the sword on. You can story to your clients, and you can lie to them and tell them about what a horse is, but that horse is going to tell the truth in the end. The horse is always going to tell the truth. And so your clients will respect you more if you tell them, "Hey, this horse is this, and he's not going to make this." They respect you more by saving their money and coming and getting them, but then you just trying to grind him out and the horse still not pan out. Like the horse is going to tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So when did the world title start there in the AQHA?
So
Was it Jericho that kind of helped?
It was Jericho. I had a chance for 2 world titles the first year I won. I caught road replay Blue Boon for Clay and Colleen Logan. And the senior finals was that the day before the junior finals. And I remember Joseph Harrison coming up to me, and he said, "Hey," he says, "Cade, all you got to do is put that steer in this horse's breast collar, and he's going to do the rest of it." Talk about through the turn and across the ring. And I swatted him in the ass. I only think my rope touched him. You back in on that caliber of horse that everybody's watching, the judges know him, the crowd knows him, the trainers know him, the trainer's help knows the horse, and everybody's watching that horse. And you're thinking, just don't mess up. And I come around, that horse just stands in the box just perfectly. Have steered straight down the guts. Clay just runs up there and runs him, spins him, and I come around there and I don't even remember seeing his feet. You ever been there?
Oh boy.
Don't even remember seeing his feet. I don't even touch him. The next day's the junior healing finals, and I make it back on Jericho, a great yellow gelding that I trained, and I had a bridle made out of his hind shoes. And anyway, so I'm like, you know what, Cade? Don't be a pussy. You got it. You know how to heel steers. You know how to show a horse. And so it steers a little bit off to the left right there, and I just kicked him around the corner, That steer squared up 1-2, and he just drug his butt like he did every time, and he never moved. Like you could heel an elephant and he would not move. And I got my first wool title right there. It's kind of like getting the monkey off your back.
Yep.
And then
it's amazing too the mental gymnastics that a guy will go through. I always tell everyone at these clinics, be careful of the don'ts, because the mind doesn't always see don't. When you said don't screw up, don't screw up. And when you're on defense in an offensive game, it's hard but then when you said you turned it around, you started telling yourself, all right, I got that. You start.
Yes.
It's amazing when you hit that, because you can have the ability, you ride the shit out of them. You know how to heal. But what was amazing when in that third element, that mental deal, and when a guy finds that win, it's amazing. Okay, now can I do that again? Now,
a guy has
confidence.
You have to have confidence. If you don't have confidence, you have nothing. This is, and it's tough. Like a guy's going to lose more than he wins. It's inevitable, especially in this game. And a guy's got to stay up. He's got to stay positive. He's got to stay confident. Because if you don't have confidence, you ain't going to win. Oh, I hope I catch this steer.
Yeah,
I hope I get out of the barrier.
Hope will leave you. Hope will leave you like a stripper. You're going to be broken and heartbroken.
Yes.
It's a,
and they're going to take all your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
I know that's a little bit of a wild analogy, but it's true.
Yes. Yes. And then, so I placed Jericho in the top 10 his 5-year-old year in the junior heeling. And then his 5-year-old year, I won a go around. I was second call back in the futurity. And I think Joseph won Tutus that year. I had a really good run. I went up third. And then his 6-year-old year, I won 3 out of 4 go rounds on him at the big futurity. I won Tulsa on him. I won second Ardmore on him. I won something else on him. And then I won second that year, winning 3 out of 4 go rounds. Wesley Thorpe won it that year. He got me in the first round. I had a screamer run like a dog. And we knocked him down. Me and Lane Ivy was helping me that year. It helped me a lot those 2 years on Jericho. And then and Wesley Thorpe got me that year. And then I went through a dry spell the year before that, and then here comes Hank.
What are a lot of the things you felt like that Clay Logan really kind of helped get you to the next level? Because that next level kind of came in that spot where you were working for Clay. So many young kids that are wanting to be a trainers, that mentorship, that having that mentor that's able to help you with the highs, the lows, the horsemanship, the business, all that stuff. When you think of, even just, when Jordan Allen, he worked for JDH for 6 years as well. And, just for me growing up, just having that guy that's able to walk you through that stuff. What all do you feel like, Clay, that helped you get that thing molded to where you're able to be so successful like you are?
So I was very grounded in the cutting, and my roping was kind of self-taught. My roping horsemanship was kind of self-taught. But besides, my father roped pretty decent. Corky roped good, but they weren't healers. They were headers. And so it was kind of self-taught. And once I got to Clay's, and after, I was throwing fast and dying and screwed up all them horses, Clay's like, hey, look, we're going to do it like this. And just teaching me the timing in a horse, in the heading and the heeling. A lot of people don't understand there's timing to a head horse. There's timing to a heel horse. Like, if a heel horse ain't in timing, they're going to hit on their front end every single time, unless you have a stopping son of a buck. It takes a lot for a horse to come off the ground and you throw it. Now they got to get back in the ground. Same thing with a head horse. If a head horse is not in time and you're not heading with a swing and he's not coming off your rope, you're going to be pulling the whole time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Clay helped me a lot with that. And I tell you what, Clay helped me a lot with learning when to quit a horse. Because I was, and I still get this way with them special ones, you start feeling something that you've been wanting to feel. Well, hell, just one more steer. One more steer. One more steer.
Like Lay's potato chips. No one can eat just one.
Exactly.
And you eat the whole damn bag and feel like crap.
Yes. And Clay's like, quit, dude. You're on the positive. Like, you're getting him. Stop. And Clay helped me a lot with that, just learning when the timing to quit the horse. Because, a lot of people think this training roping horses and stuff is putting 10 or 15, 20 runs on him a day. And it's not. It's learning when to get to the positive and stop. Pet him, tell him he did good, tell her she's pretty,
Right.
and wash him off, put him in the stall.
Yep. I've heard Chris Cox talk about that a lot when I've heard people ask him, what do you think makes a good horseman? And I've heard him say a lot of times is knowing when to quit. And that is a lot to that. Because after a while, like you say, you're either boring them or you're wearing them out, or, like for me, a head horse is a sprinter. It shouldn't be a marathon. You want that sucker to be sprinting. You want him to be sharp-footed. You want him to be doing good. You want him right there where he's on the edge, but he's under control, and especially rodeoing. And you don't want him to think like a marathon runner. You ever seen how they take off when they shoot the gun?
Oh, yeah.
Saving themselves. It's going to be a long day. I want that sucker sprinting. I want his feet moving when that gun goes off.
Usain Bolt.
Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot to that when it comes to time, knowing when to quit. Completely agree with that, especially rodeo horses too.
Yeah, because once you lose a horse's mind, you lose their feet.
Yeah.
And if you lose their feet before you lose your mind, you just lost their mind.
Yeah.
So, learning when to quit. And I get it, the average guy they want to go row. They want to go practice. And they want to drink beer, and they just want to have a good time.
Fun.
15.
But the horse is not a four-wheeler.
And
I see it in them 14s and open ropes in some of the places I've gone to, and you're just watching this horse just run off, and then they're pulling, and it's just a constant back and forth, and you're like, and then they're mad at the horse for doing this, and the horse is just gone. You can see in his eyes, you can see in his actions, the way he's chomping the bit. Everything is gone, and then they're really thinking that that's going to make that huge difference, just getting after him. It's like you've done nothing to help him.
So horses,
such a disconnect.
Horses are called horses and not machines.
Yeah.
Even machines break down. And so people forget this. They sweat, they work, their muscles are doing just what our muscles are doing. When we get tired, what do we want to do? The good people get through it. They dig deep and get through it. But you can only dig deep and get through it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
The average people, they get tired, they quit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good saying. That's real good. Yeah, Clay's man, what a good dude. Like I said, I've known him for a long time. Just such a nice guy. And you talked earlier, too, about 2020. And that's, I think, the first time he had the Clay Logan Classic. Is that right?
Had it right there at the Wildwood Arena.
And that was one of those times where there was like the perfect storm. Everything just kind of aligned. I think that was his first year to have the roping.
The very first year, him and Shane Boston.
And I forget how long we were off during COVID. Maybe a few weeks or a month, it seemed like, in Texas. It wasn't as long as some other states, but it was long enough where everything was shut down. There was no more ropings. There was no nothing. Like even we came here and we didn't know what was going on. We stayed in our little compound right here, but it was awesome for us. We got to fix fence and do some cool shit here at the house.
Ranching.
Yeah, we never get to like hardly Jackie and I and the kid. Like, it's very rare when we're all together for that long. It was awesome, But it was wild as far as where our industry was at that time. And it was just kind of the perfect storm, it seemed like, over there at Wildwood. I think it was one of the first ropings back. It had money added. The open was awesome. It had some numbered ropings with money added. And that thing was huge.
The owner of it shut the gates, called the sheriff's department. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
People were parked outside.
Neighbors. Yeah. All kind of stuff was going on.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It flooded.
And Clay.
With ropers.
A week before that, Clay got in a wreck with a steer. Had so the same steers that we roped at that roping in the open. The neighbor, he was leasing the neighbor's pasture to house them steers. Well, they left the gate open one night. Well, it rained that night, and them steers always, when it rains and gets the gate open, they're finding their way out. And so Clay goes out there and they get them all pinned beside this one. Well, Clay gets in a wreck and ropes the steer and gets cool around his leg, and he tears his hamstring. And so he was down. Like
I remember that.
He was in sweatpants.
Yeah.
And just in a stinging cast. I said, Clay's, how's it going? Ain't worth a shit. I says, you look good, buddy. You need help? No. Like he's just very short, just like an injured person would be.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that was a very successful roping.
Yeah. And now he's up to 2 a year. So now that him and Shane have grown those ropings to where now, because he's got one coming up in October, correct?
October, I believe.
And it's usually right here in Stephenville at 377 Arena, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah, so be looking for that one. That's gonna his ropings are good. I've been to them, and yeah, this is the success that they've had after that roping to like this is they got a recipe for a good roping, and now they have two a year, and he does a great job with it.
Yeah, puts a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I called him today and was talking, some stuff about you a little bit. And is that a snake down there?
I seen your eyes.
I thought about after I talked to him, I was thinking about putting a fake one up there and just pulling a string and seeing if that worked. But I was like, gosh dang, I don't want you to hurt yourself in this podcast.
There'd be a hole through that window. And there's stairs is right here, not deep past it.
He said snakes is really not your thing, huh?
No. Heck no. If somebody wants to get hurt or if you want to see me disappear somewhere, just bring Snake out. I can't do them.
That's funny. Where'd that come from? Lonesome Dove?
So I've always had a little nightmare growing up, and every once in a while I still will, is like me and my brother were playing catch, like in a field full of leaves, like fall. And I'm running after this ball, catch this ball, and this snake just wraps around my leg. And I'll still have it every once in a while.
That's funny.
It's not funny.
It's funny from over here. Right. I had snake phobia for myself, but then when I started learning how to shoot them, I started feeling a lot better. But I tell you what, here they call my place right here Copperhead Haven because of the leaves and the sand and all that stuff they love. Yes, and they love that here. And we've killed a lot of them. And they're hard because they're hard to see, especially in the fall when those leaves change colors. They look just like the ground. And so, yeah, we've got them now, but they're hard to find intentionally, I found out.
Well, don't they get in them stinking oak trees looking for them, what do they call them little bugs? Them locusts? They'll get in them oak trees, and they'll climb them trees looking at them locusts.
Yeah, because I've chased a bull snake, and I watch him climb the tree, and then he came right back off a branch and came right there looking right at me. And I was thinking to myself, man, the amount of times I walked out here to catch this horse and had no idea what was above me. Now I see why you have nightmares.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm out on them, man. I'm out.
Funny. So when you go towards that mentorship, because there's so many kids, like we talked earlier, that would love to know, like, what's the route to be able to go? Because you got to get up underneath someone. You got to know how the business works. You got to learn how to deal with the clients. The billing, you're going to have turd herders. You're going to have guys that are cleaning the stalls, saddling the horses, unsaddling. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to this business. And then when you started your own business, what a lot of the stuff that you used that Clay helped you with, and what was the stuff that kind of came out of nowhere? Because there's always that, oh, crap. Didn't see that coming.
First off, if a guy's going to mentor under somebody that he respects and he loves, and as you work for a person for a period of years, the respect's going to turn into a love. Just like Clay and I.
Mm-hmm. A guy. I've seen that a lot when I was there. A lot of respect both ways.
A lot of guys that just want to stay for a year or 2, 3 years, it's not long enough. It's not long enough. You're missing a lot of steps. Like I thought there for a little bit there at Clay's, like, hell, I got it. But looking back, I didn't have it. A guy's got to spend time. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this for a living, you got to learn how to do it the correct way. And with that being said, if you just like when I was working for Clay, man, he gave me so many opportunities. Like I got to show replay. I got to show so many good horses. MJ Razorwire, Pooh. I got to show all them good horses, and people see you riding them horses, and under the direction of Clay or JD or Brad Lund, and they're like, they're putting them on them horses. Well, that boy's got it on. And you get so much recognition, you get so much stardom, if that's so to speak, from that opportunity that Clay gave me. And then whenever I put my notice in and went on my own, well, it wasn't easy. It's never easy. But then you start winning. you start getting some better horses and better horses, and then you start getting great horses. And it's always going to be a wave. You're going to go through great ones, and you're going to go through mediocre ones.
Rebuild.
Or green ones.
Yeah.
But Clay give me that opportunity to succeed, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What, so when you're going, so you ride horses also for the public.
Yes, sir.
You ride some for your own.
Yes.
And then there's owners as well. So there's kind of that, is there more than just that 3, or is that kind of your 3?
I ride horses for the public mainly. And then I've got a handful of my own personal horses. And they always get put to the back burner. But that's how we make a living, me and my wife.
So when you go to looking for horses on your own, what is it that you're looking for? Is there a certain characteristic that horse has? Is there a certain conformation that has, a certain breeding? Kind of when you're going through this, because your knowledge goes way deep with, from...
Whenever I'm looking at a horse, obviously the first thing you see before you ever see the horse is papers. So if I have another trainer or something send
me...
You
go papers first? Is that what you're saying?
I go papers first. And then, so that's the first thing you see. Like first, say Charlie Crawford calls me. Hey, I got this horse for sale. He's 3-year-old. He's not going to make cut program. All right, send me a copy of his papers and then send me some pictures of him and I'll come check him out. And so that's the first thing you see. And then you go to look at the horse. The first thing I look at is his eye. If the horse has got a nice soft eye, a very kind eye, all right, let's go step 2. Is he built uphill? Because in the roping, if they're built downhill, first thing hits the front end. Whether you're heading on them, heeling on them, and you can try to keep it picked up as much as you want to, but the one time you put your hand down to try to win something, the front end's going down. And then I go to disposition. Can the horse, is he a kind horse? Can he move his feet? Can he do this? Can he do that? That's what I go to.
And a lot of your breeding that you're looking for, that you're talking about as well, a lot of that has some past. So you kind of know if that is going to be something that may be natural for him.
I've rode a lot of horses by some certain stallions that have been successful in the cutting, the cow horse, the reining, but they're hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to, if I can, steer clear of that because I know, like this particular horse, his sons and daughters won't score.
Mm-hmm.
This particular horse, they won't stop, but they can run.
Yeah.
So I have an idea as what I'm getting into when I go and look. And so also have all right, this one's going to might make a hill horse. This one's kind of bred like this, but man, that bottom side, he might be able to run a little bit. So I just look at the individual and just kind of go from there. Just get a feel of them. Like I went and tried one here in Fort Worth here last week, and I seen her in a stall. I'm like, man, she's 2 hands downhill. Like, I don't even want to ride her, but I drove all this way. Let's just see what she is. And get on her, and she's just as pleasant and broke, but you go and stop her, running down.
Got it.
And I told that gentleman, I said, God, I appreciate you letting me look at this mare, but she just ain't going to work. Well, why? Well, she's downhill. She's always going to be downhill. That ain't going to get away from it. I can put this rig on her. I can put that rig on her. As soon as I put my hand down to go win something, front end.
So what you're saying about the shoulders being basically higher than the rear in a sense, that's going to be natural. So when you're having to crawl over and do something and try to heel one, that's going to be a natural instinct for them shoulders to go up and the butt to go down. And what you're talking about now is when the withers are almost below the ass a little bit.
Yes.
That horse is lowered in the front end and the back. You can manipulate it because you're handy enough. You can make that horse crawl his shoulders up, use your feet, get his shoulders picked up, and do it to where you're the one doing it and make it easier for the horse. But when you have to try to win something, that horse's natural tendencies are going to go where just how it's built. It's just natural.
That's where his bounce goes.
It's not that the horse is doing it out of spite or anything out of the wrong way. It's just the way the horse is built. And when you're kind of left high and dry and you have to try to win something, that's just going to be the natural instincts.
Yes.
And because the amount of times I've watched horses that I've seen, rodeoing, the horses were naturally built that way. And then when they rope and they hit the front end and they would just get onto that. My gosh, if you only knew that horse, it's not that he's doing it intentionally. It's just the way he's built.
That's their balance. That's their balance points.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot to that. When a horse goes
and missing your dallies. How about that one? If you do catch one,
a horse is downhill and hits his front end, and that saddle horn goes straight between your legs. You can't have a saddle horn tall enough.
That's a thing. Like that, I don't think a lot of people don't realize that is when them shoulders go down, what the saddle horn does, and then when it comes up.
Hello, ball sack.
Yeah, I love it when that thing comes right there. Yeah, and the way they take the hit, and it's just so much easier on him.
So I had a really good bald face 5-year-old that I owned. Had him from his 3-year-old year to his 5-year-old year, and I thought he was gonna. So he was a little downhill when I bought him, but he was 3, and I thought he was going to grow up and kind of even out. And he was a stocky son buck. He was as wide as this stink table right here, and man, I had him going. But once I started using him, and I started like, hey, this is you now. Like I'm on a rope. And then next thing you know, he just flattens out.
Yeah.
Flattens out.
Yeah.
And so he didn't make my type of horse, but the people that bought him from Florida, they love him. And there's always a place for them horses, but not for the spot that we need them for.
Right. At that level. Because it's getting tighter. It's getting tougher and tougher. This maturity, it's getting tough, isn't it? So when it comes to owners and you guys are looking for that next futurity horse and things like that, like who picks the horses? Are these guys are like, all right, you got the reins, you know what we're feeling, or because I know sometimes it's hard too. Is like, all right, this is going to be the next horse. Like I know it. Like this is the next one. How does that balance work with on being able to balance? This is what we're looking for, and this may not quite be what we're looking for.
So a lot of my horses come from clients that send them to me. They've already either purchased the horse, they've had the horse in different programs as far as cutting, reining, cow horse or whatnot. That's most of my clientele. I've had some clients, and I've pissed some clients off because they want me to go find them a horse, and they have a unlimited budget. But I try to look at their money just like mine. So if I go and I see this fancy blue roan that's just got the papers to boot, but they want $60,000 for him or $80,000 for him as a 3-year-old.
That's probably never been roped on.
Never been roped on.
Yeah.
How can I justify their money if this horse doesn't make? So they're not guaranteed to make. And I've seen some gambles from some other trainers that worked and come out really well. And I think you know who I'm talking about. But I've also seen some gambles from some trainers that didn't work.
Swing and a miss.
I had a client that had a horse in cow horse training and sent him to me. They had $300,000 in this horse as a 3-year-old.
As a 3-year-old, Santa Maria.
Bought him for a bunch of money as 2. Had 2-year-old training, 3-year-old training in him. I get him late his 3-year-old year, and he is fried. There's nothing left. Like I've tried to slow him down. Let's just lope circles. Let's just track the dummy. Let's just track steers. He's a fire breeding dragon. And I called him up. I said, hey man,
those are tense moments.
I don't know if we're getting anywhere. What do you mean? I've got $300,000 sold. I says, I didn't buy him for you. You sent him to me. I'm just telling you.
Those are tough conversations.
Now's the time to stop the bleeding. Otherwise, we're going to be deep, deep, deep. He's like, what's he worth to you right now? I says, you want me to be honest with you? Yeah. This is about $15,000, $20,000. Are you shitting me? I says, no, sir. Well,
those are hard conversations.
I'm going to give you 10 minutes to sell him. Otherwise, I'm coming to pick him up. And so I said, I can't sell him 10 minutes.
And don't put that on me.
And he wasn't mad at me, but he was just, like I said, that's one of the...
Oh, I can understand the frustration for sure.
That's one of the trainers that took the risk and it didn't work. So I have a hard time spending that kind of money on them. And don't get me wrong, they're stinking. There's some of them that are worth it as a prospect, but I have a hard time doing it.
Well, that's what it seems like now is like, like the breeding, it seems like with the heel horses, it seems like the cow horses kind of got what you guys are kind of looking for, it seems like. Because you can use that same size, a lot of that same conformation is kind of what they're needing. But the head horse, it kind of seems like we're still in that mad science age. We're still kind of figuring out what some of it is. We're tweaking on it, what we like, what we don't like. It's still kind of in that infant stage, I feel like, a little bit.
Trevor and Miles and Tate's got it figured out. They know what they want. They know what's going to work. Them horses are big. Them horses run. So in this futurity deal, like sometimes it's short score depending on the arena. Like the John Justin's not that big a pin. And it's usually what, 3 over? 4 over? No, over. Under.
Yeah.
Under. And then stinking black steers haul ass.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a horse that can catch up.
I think when it's really going to be known is when you start seeing them breeding and you start seeing it really shine in the upper level. Because in my opinion, when you win, that speaks volumes. And so when it starts winning at the futurities and you start seeing it win at the top level and you start seeing that win in the, the World Series finals in Vegas, to me, that's when I think it's going to be in a different stage. Right now, I still think we're tweaking with it.
We're tweaking with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you got Clay Smith's horse, that Corona Cartel. Them Mexican steers over there at Utah are hauling ass.
They didn't have a chance.
And
they did not have a chance with that breeding.
He never run one past the 50-yard mark.
Yeah.
And the horse made it look easy. And that stands out for a judge's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got a horse.
Well, that's part of the maneuver, right? Run and rate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He never kicked him. He maybe clucked to him one time.
Just out of bad habit.
Right. He never kicked him. And here I am. And I showed 2 horses that are really nice horses. And my guy lost his rope on my good Would It Be Tough mare. And then I broke the barrier on the other dual glow horse stud. But, like I'm kicking him. Like, hey, like, and I'm a big dude and I'm really bad about, and Lovell's been helping me about, I'm really bad about crawling out over him. And my tip's really low in the head. And Lovell's like, dude, you've got to stay back and let them run underneath you. And Tate's been helping me too. That's hard when you're trying to catch up. How can you just sit back here and hope to get there, right? You want to get to the target. But that's where Clay Smith and like Miles, that 4-year-old mare. Holy
sweetheart
crap.
of a mare, huh? What a sweetheart of a mare.
How's she bred?
Oh, look. But yeah, what a kind looking mare. And just work too. That was so cool.
But them horses just running underneath them like they're not kicking. Them horses just hauling at.
Mm-hmm. And that's where that, like say that breeding is going to start. You're going to start seeing that, huh?
Absolutely.
What, so Miles won it on a first prize diver and a charge gun. That was a breeding on that.
Running bred.
Yeah, PYC, Relentless PYC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and gosh dang, what a cool looking horse.
But that's where in the head, and that's where the money's run is before the 50-yard line.
Yep. Yeah, and everything. And it all sets up the start. The start sets up the run, but when you have that gain. And like I say, this is what's great about the fraternities. That's why I tell everyone of these clinics, like, watch these fraternities. Like I tell them to follow all y'all. Reason? You guys are roping from the same spot they are. It's not a rope game. This is a using your horse game. So there's all 3 coils still left in every one of these guys' hands.
Yes.
So watch how they get their first swing. Watch where they're riding to. Watch how they're setting up after you catch them. That's where the jelly freaking meets the biscuit right there.
And I tell you what, something that I've had to change, and I'm still working on it. I've not got it perfected by no means. I probably never will. But watching Tate, watching Miles and Trevor, watching Andy Holcomb, watching Driggers, Clay Smith. So they rope. Where I come from the AQHA, it's run up there and rope, and that horse is on jake brake the whole time. Like you put it on the peg, and that son of a gun better be on his butt, and then going out of there, so you can go face.
Mm-hmm.
Them guys, and it confuses the shit out of me. Them guys go out the front. They'll run up there and rope, and them horses will widen out. Well, them horses are still going forward, but out, and then they'll drag that leg. And so I went and roped with Tate here several months ago. And just took some head horses over there and some hill horses just to help him with whatever. And I said, hey, help me with my head horses, please. He's like, all right. He never let me turn a steer until 4 or 5 steers later. He literally had me run up there and rope and get wide and up and let that steer pull that horse down the arena. He's like, all right, now stop. Just dribble to a stop. Don't make him drag his ass. Dribble to a stop. And that healer would just push that steer around him and go do it again. We did it 2 or 3 times on each horse before we ever turned him off. And I got home and I'm like, I just ruined my horses. This feels terrible. My horses are passing the cow. My horses always run to a spot and right off. You rope the horns, then you turn the cow. But as I've applied what he had me doing, then applied some of my own stuff to it, my horses feel so much better. So much better.
I think what a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it too, is you get caught right here in the trap. You get trapped from here. And so like, if you rope and get the steer's head from the same spot, then the steer's head comes to you, and now you got to get in front. So then you're hauling ass. And then you also lose your head. And what they're doing is when they're roping, stepping out here and getting it tight and getting that leg, now you got the angle in front of the steer. Now you can dictate where the steer goes from that width.
And your healer can heal them faster.
Just post them up and just tee off.
And that's what I
Game of angles.
So I've got a nice buckskin gelding that I own and that I've been not having hell with, but I need something. And so I took him to Tate's and he helped me with him. I see him some videos here a few weeks ago. So how's this look? And I'm old school. Over I had, I was trained run up their butt,
get tight,
rope the horns, and step out. And Tate and I've really working on like 3-4 feet out there, just really working on it. It's changed my swing. It's changed everything.
Yeah, and it does do that.
Yes,
it does.
Because I got a tight calf roper swing. And anyway, so I sent them videos, and I thought this horse just looked phenomenal. Like I was so proud. And I sent them videos to Tate. He's such a dick. And
busted your balls, didn't he?
He called me. He said, looks better. He said, but my healers can still heal them faster.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you got to get wider.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how much wider you want me to get? He's like, it's not when you're roping. He says, but it's as that horse is flowing to the left. And then when you put it on the horn, then that steer is coming with the angle of your horse. And then that horse gets on that left leg and that hip just hits. Well, that's when that shake curl can just tee off on.
That's what they call it, getting hit in the end of it. You know, when the healers, just make them hit. Make them hit the end of it. And when you run the angles right as a header, that's when they hit the end of it. And what, for a lot of guys that don't understand what that means, when they hit the end of it, that means that next hop, you know exactly where they're going. And that's a game of angles. Yeah.
They got to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, whenever I show them hill horses, I don't want to lose momentum. So like Lane Ivy, Brock, Lovell, they do an outstanding job. I've had a lot of success behind Andy Holcomb too. I want like a
shit. I think we even won one time.
We damn sure did. It's Teamville, Texas.
Yeah,
it was first, second call back, and you screwed me on the second call back, and I won it on the Would It Be Tough. I'm just kidding. You didn't screw me. I just missed. But
I couldn't even remember. I just remember we won one. I thought
we damn sure did. But that 3-point corner for like when you're showing them hill horses, so they never lose momentum through the turn.
Mm-hmm.
And like with a 3-point corner is as the header goes on, the steer starts through the turn, he gets to the top of the turn, that's when that header breaks them over. Mm-hmm. Then they pull the cow. That's what I call a 3-point.
And you can just see that hop.
And then your horse just flows right around the end of it.
And melt them right to you.
Yes.
That's what I always call posting them up right there, where you can just fall right on into line. And that's a header. Yeah. That's when the header is like letting you do that and show the horse.
Yes.
That's what a lot of people don't realize how important that helper job is.
It's the most pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's the most pressure on the header, but it truly is what sets up the success to be able to let the healer show that son of a gun.
Well, that horse never loses momentum, so if you got a header that just breaks him over to be flat, well, that horse has got to drag his butt through the turn and get to the inside and keep moving. But if you have a header that can just 3-point turn that cow, then you can just, and then whoa,
there he is, T-bone.
Yep, and I'm bad about sitting on my butt. Well, if I feel it, I'll just sit on my butt and let that horse just get on his belly whenever I'm throwing, and it just feels so good.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I I love it. And it's fun to watch too, like helping, because I love it to where when you can just put one right there and they come in right there. Just, wow, it's so fun to watch. I love watching it. And with you and especially Hank, you guys have done such a good job of the last 2 years. I mean, not just winning, but like you win it. Like that Hank has done some work. And what a cool time for Hank to show up.
So
you're just getting your business built. You're on your own now, and then here this sucker comes.
God-given timing. God-given timing. So whenever Marshall Wire, he calls me, and I'm headed to Arizona. I was going to sell Jericho to Madison Bumgarner. And so I was pulled in Scottsdale, and Marshall called. I didn't know Marshall from Adam. And Marshall called. I said, hey, he said, I'm in your gate. And I says, well, I'm in Scottsdale. And he's like, well, when are you going to be back? And I told him. And so I got back, and he shows up, and my tack room was literally a C-train, 20-foot C-train. And I didn't have a barn at the time, not for a stud. And I didn't have nothing. And he's like, hey, so this operation ain't going to work. And I said, no, the operation's going to work. I said, but the facility's just not here yet. And he's like, well, if we do this, what if I just bring him over whenever you want him, we'll work him, and then we'll go from there. I said, perfect. And so Marshall brought him 14 times. I rode that horse, heeled on him 14 times. He's never been roped on inside the arena. Heeled him 14 times. We take him to Redbud, and this is no bullshit. Take him to Redbud as a 4-year-old. Been out of the box 14 times. Placed in the first round, won the second round, and he got a little green on me in the third round. Then come back short round, and I heel one, and he is sliding around there, and I lose him for good money. 14 times out of the box. And then we get to the big futurity, and I missed the first one, I think. Miss or like the first one, so we're out of it. And then this 5-year-old year, it's just a bang after bang after bang. And then the 6-year-old year is the same way. I mean, and then I started heading on him at 6-year-old year. Horse is 14 too, 1,150 pounds, 1,120 pounds. And so Marshall's like, what do you think about heading on him? And I says, man, we got a pretty good product right here, bud. So I think he's big enough. I said, if you want to head on him, we'll head on him. So 6-year-old year, took him to World Show and won the world on him. Like and I tell you what, Joseph Harrison, I had a great group of horses. I had Hank, 7-Star Glow. I had Jungle Cat. I had the King and Diamonds. Would Be a Fox, All Bay Ray. I had an exceptional set of hill horses. Like Casey Hicks came down last year, and he roped with me, and we worked together, and kind of his pros, my cons, his pros, and just worked on stuff, and whenever he left there, and his help asked me, says, well, how was it? He's like, that boy ain't got 5 good hill horses. He's got 2 barns full of them. And that made me feel really, really good. Like a guy like Casey Hicks, which me and him are great friends, but he's a header. I'm a healer. But he heals really good too.
Right.
But it made me feel really good that he's going to tell everybody, like, I've not just got 5 good ones. I've got a barn full of them. And that comes from work, but that's also comes from Jericho. That comes from people hearing, seeing Hank and all them other good 6-year-olds that I had. They see them horses and they're like, well, I want one like that. And them great horses like that build a business.
That's what I was going to ask, is like when you win them world titles, what does that do for your business?
It's a lot better than second. You know what I mean?
I mean, this cover, the last couple of years cover on this, Team Rope and Journal, and just the hype that it gets with what the American Rope Horse Fraternity is doing, where everyone's watching it.
It's, that there's not
it's nothing better than the confidence of being able to do it. But then also, like I said, that there's benefits also when you're the top heel horse trainer.
And Joseph's got that title right now because he's getting it on. Like that boy's, he's getting it on right now. But I tell you what, whenever you have a horse like Hank, everywhere you go, backing in the box, knowing everybody's watching you.
Yeah.
They ain't watching you. They're watching him. And some people are wanting to watch to see how great he is. And people don't think about this. Some people are watching to see what mistakes he makes.
Mm-hmm.
And that horse don't make a mistake. Like, he does not make a mistake. I heard after I won the head and world title on him, and I won the heeling world title on him in the rope horse futurity, and I heard some remarks from other trainers that he's just a show pony. He can't go nowhere else. He can't jackpot on him, can't do nothing on him. And so whenever I got the invitation for the timed event this year, me and Marshall are very, very close. And
is that who on the stud?
Yes, Marshall Wire. And I said, hey,
and then who did you go help at the timed event?
I was entered.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was entered.
Hell yeah, cowboy.
Yeah, I got the invitation.
Out of the loop. Apologize for that.
Yeah, I got the invitation not too long ago for this following year as well. And that horse, I took him up there, and that horse never made a mistake. Like, I blew my groin. I tore my groin in the healing in the third round, in the healing of all things.
That is funny.
But I don't think, me and Trevor talked about it, I don't think I did it in the healing. I think I did it in the calf roping or something like that.
Something had it there. And then
had it pissed off.
Yeah.
And then, but that horse, I mean, I'm sure you've been there. You've helped there. It's 2 foot
real.
over.
They're real.
And they're hauling ass.
Big, strong.
So we roped the steers they roped at the NFR this year. They ain't never been nowhere besides that.
They were big and strong at the NFR. That's 4 months later, or 5.
Been on full feed. Bob Joe Hill. And them son bitches were running. And this buckskin son gun just stand in the box. And then I could get out there around them, and Tyrell was heading for me, and I just tee off on them. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Till I told them growing that kind of stuff.
It is fun in the fact of, like, when you hear the noise, and sometimes you'll hear it without even trying to hear it. The goal is to be able to not hear it. Trevor, I think, does a great job at that. He does not hear the noise. Bill Belichick talks about, when he was doing Super Bowls and winning Super Bowls, avoid the noise. And, so don't watch ESPN. Don't read the newspaper clips. Do your job. But gosh dang, sometimes the noise will find you. And the noise is those jackasses from the frickin' peanut gallery, the cowboy keyboard heroes, and stuff like that. They're starting to throw that crap out there. And the sad part is, a lot of times they don't even realize how jealous they just made themselves by throwing that stupid stuff out there. But sometimes, every once in a while, it's amazing what'll motivate you. Every once in a while, one of those comments will come and you're like, oh, you don't think this something's good enough? Oh, okay. How about you try this shit on at the hardest freaking environment in the world?
Yes.
Now talk to me.
Yes.
And sometimes that part's fun. And it is motivating.
It builds a fire in your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what gets me going is when somebody says that I can't do this or this horse can't do that.
Especially when you know they can. Yeah.
I'll watch this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it makes me so it's the dick coming out in me that I won't let come out.
Well, it's a motivation. I mean, you see, have you ever watched Michael Jordan's The Last Dance? I mean, some of the best competitors in the world have that freaking fire. They have, okay, all right. And it wakes some shit up inside of you. And a lot of people thrive off that.
Well, it made me, and I didn't do it because I try to control my dickish tendencies. Send them videos to them. What about now? There ain't no number on this horse.
Yeah.
This is all on time.
Yeah.
What about now? I didn't do it.
Yeah. And you have to, like I said, winning is the best last word. It really is.
It is.
If you want the last one, just win. Just go prove them wrong and go in.
Yeah.
So what is that horse bred like? And now that horse has gotten so established, is there some stuff coming up under him?
So he had his first full crop at the ground this year.
That's gonna be fun.
And I think he bred 60 or 70 mares this year. I haven't rode actually I did. I ain't rode the horse since the timed event. I took him to a horse show in Tulsa to get him qualified in the heeling. He's grandfathered in the head because we won it this past year. So there was a 6-point class, meaning there's 30 or more horses in the class. Have not rode the horse, ain't exercised the horse. He really come from the breeding barn. Got on him, made one run, and I won first under all 3 judges. So he's qualified for the world show. So that horse is, and I ain't seen him since. Marshall come and picked him up, and he's like, "Good job, cowboy. We'll get him at the world show."
Nice.
But that horse is just going to breed horses, breed mares, and get his progeny on the ground. and we're going to continue to show him and promote him. And I think his colts on the ground right now are gorgeous.
Yeah, he's a beautiful animal.
Yes,
as well.
Yes.
So with that horse being a stud, which is for an owner, that's a home run. Like when you just knock a 2-time American Rope Horse Futurity Healing World title out of it, and he's a stud. Like that's like, yeah, baby. You know what I mean? Like that is so cool. But what do you think it's done for the horse market? Because a lot of guys are dealing with, inflation right now. Whatever administration you can call it, affordability or all that bullshit. But middle class is getting freaking tattooed with, high gas, high groceries, you name it.
High taxes.
Yeah. Gosh dang the property taxes. You're taxed on everything.
Yeah.
You win it, you pay taxes. You pay for it, you pay taxes. It's amazing with where we are right now. My dad would be rolling over in his grave right now, just knowing that all what's going on. But, so some of it's kind of getting hit on, and some of it's kind of coming down, and some of it ain't even getting touched. So like you're in the middle of it. You ride horses for other people, you sell them, you also do a lot of stuff in the fraternities and everything. So you're engulfed in the horse industry. Where is the rope horse industry as far as where the market's at?
So the rope horse industry right now, I think it's at an all-time high.
That is wild, isn't it?
We're looking at 3-year-olds for in between 25 and 45,000. And I think that's affecting the overall market. But you know what? You can't blame them trainers and them owners for pricing them colts like that, because I've got a Would It Be Tough mare that I just weaned her 2 days ago. She's by Would It Be Tough, my in-laws' Good Plains Tosh mare. Well, that's cost us about $12,500 just to get her on the ground, between the breeding fee and the reset mare and all this other kind of crap. So these owners, they're going to try to get as much as they can back out of the horse. And then they got training as well as between their 2- and 3-year-old year, because I hardly won't ever look at one until their 3-year-old year. Until I can do something one-handed with a rope. That saves time if I can do something one-handed with a rope. I can get them neck ran and stuff like that. But as far as a 2-year-old, I don't rope on a 2-year-old. As long as they're broken enough, kick them out in the pasture and let them be a horse. And then get them back up the spring of their 3-year-old year and give them a job. But you can't blame these owners for wanting, or these trainers wanting, a good amount of money for these colts, because they've got a bunch of money in them. The days of a prospect, a reject, being $5,000 to $8,500 is long gone, and it's not coming back. It's not coming back. I wish it would, but it's not. But here's the deal: is you're going to pay for a product, and what you pay for that product is probably what you're going to get out of it. If you want the best, you're going to have to spend some money. And like I said before, I have a hard time spending my clients' money like that. I'm like, hey, whoa, this ain't guaranteed to make nothing. But if you're willing to make that sacrifice, it's a tough time for the middle road class buyer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because, when I look at it, because I'm fixing to have one age out. And so my goal behind this, when we re-raised him. And so my goal behind this, okay, now I like to do the fraternities where I can basically season them. Put them in the environment, get them used to all the stuff. It's a high pressure situation. I'll take them to a couple rodeos before the next fraternity in October, and get him to where he's used to all the things that an environment can create. The crowd, the barriers, the little signs waving in the background, all that
roller
stuff.
coasters,
exactly,
carnivals,
all of it, right? And so, but the fact that I raised him so long ago, you don't even really think of all that stuff when I go to sell him.
How much money you really got into?
Right. The good thing about raising him is it was so long ago, it is kind of just part of the cost. But when I go to sell him, and then I have to replenish him,
find another one.
Now that thing is going to come real hard, because if I want to compete at the fraternities, I need a good one,
a great one.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. Now, if I want to find a great one, that's going to be
Jackie, you better start winning.
Oh no, she's already doing that crap
Right.
on her side. It's just one of those things where now you really wake up to see what knowing what a great horse is going to be worth at a very young age, because you're buying a dream. You're buying a prospect, and the fact that you're dreaming this is going to be the next big thing, and you better hope it does, because if it's 20, you hope in a year or two it's 40 or 50. Well, more than likely it's going to be 30 or 40 to have that great one, and you better hope that price tag, because you have to find that middle. That middle is where the profit is. And so you're hoping that, okay, can you double your money?
You make money when you buy a horse.
Right.
You make money when you buy them. So, like I was saying before, if you're going to go ahead and pay,
Well, like real estate.
Right. If you go ahead and pay $60 for a 3-year-old prospect, it's never been roped on before, you're not guaranteed that horse is going to score. You're not guaranteed that horse is going to be fast enough. Yeah, when you try them, you're going to lope them around there and stop them and turn them around and get them off your legs and hands and stuff like that. But you're not guaranteed that horse is going to lock on to a cow either, whether they're bred to or not. And that's the whole if.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's some people like to gamble.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's fun to have that horse in the race.
Yeah,
it really is. So you came from such a like say the AQHA, got your bloody noses and kind of cut your teeth through that, and then now the American Rope Horse Futurity, and you're kicking ass at that. Like say the last 2 years, you've been the world champion on the heel side. So you've been able to do both. And for a lot of the people listening, what is kind of the difference do you feel like between the AQHA and the American Rope Horse Futurity?
So in the heeling, I don't think there's much difference. They want the horse to stand there quiet, score very well, get around the cow, time the cow up, get on their butt, and take a jerk. I think the heading, so the last 2 years, the heading has kind of gotten away from the big ash drag, so to speak. They're kind of wanting not to see them horses stand up. They're wanting to see them on that left leg that get across that pin and face, like the quarter horse show face, like the spin.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do the jackpot rodeo type face, they're probably not going to mark it. They're wanting to see them horses up and rate and get a hold of the cow and handle the cow and then get across that pin and face. That I think the futurities has helped that. Because, Chuck, do you know how hard it is to make a head horse
Yes, I do.
run up there and
really
drag their ass?
Yep. I really do. And the fact that I apologize. I'm trying to get ahead of some questions, so I'm getting my Facebook right here so I can go through some of the amount of questions that you had. So my kid Rocktail popped up out of nowhere, so apologize that
You're good.
That is usually the first thing that pops out of my phone. If there's going to be music playing, it's going to be him. But yes, gosh, dog. I mean, there's so many moving parts to the head. What's crazy to me about the head inside too is it's funny how it rotates. When you first learn how to rope, heading's actually the easiest thing. You want to first learn how to heel? That's going to be the hardest thing in the world. Well, then once you learn how to heel, heeling's actually the easiest thing to do. And then once you want to be at that top level heading, it's actually the hardest thing to do because the amount of moving parts, the amount of things that a head horse has to do that is not natural for him to do. Sit there, run, pull a steer that is not natural for him to do.
Read the barrier.
All those things like that. Match up to the steer, all these things. There's so many. Because the head horse sets up the heel horse.
If you ain't got a quarterback, you ain't got a wide receiver.
You're dang right. You have the best defense in the world, but if you ain't got a quarterback right there, putting that ball right there in the freaking numbers, you're not going to win the Super Bowl.
You ain't going to do it.
Yep.
So you can have the best heel horse out in the country, but if you ain't got a quarterback with a center underneath him, so to speak,
mm-hmm.
you ain't going to make it.
Yep.
Look what Driggers and Junior have done. Driggers has invested a bunch of money in outstanding head horses.
The best. Yep.
And Junior's got the buckskin that quarters. He's got the great buckskin that he rides everywhere. He used to have the black. I don't know what happened to the black, but he rides them two horses everywhere. And you see Driggers on a different bronc every time. And it's the same.
They're staying fresh. He's getting the longevity out of them.
It's the same turn every time.
And his jockiness is the way he can jockey one, keep him working, keep him scoring. He has learned so much from how when he first came out here. he is, in my opinion, Speedy he's the guy that really transformed the game, especially recently. Driggers is going another transformation.
Driggers is doing some stuff that nobody's even
underneath
seen.
people's that don't even have a clue what he's doing. Yeah.
And do you think he actually does? Driggers?
That he knows what he's doing? He knows. He's sharp. But I think a lot of people don't see what he's doing.
Or it's just that easy for him?
He's sharp. He's a sharp cat. He can ride. He can rope. He's always observing. He plays a dumb role to a T, especially the young kid. But he knew all the steers. He knew every steer in the herd, but he acted like he didn't. He would read the barrier. He learned a lot of mistakes growing up and stuff like that. But then to be able to reach, to be able to run up in there, to be able to ride them, all the different, and then make it an entrepreneurship to where now he knows how to move them around. He knows how to find them. He's got feelers out there all the time. Now he's a hit. Oh, you remember when he first went to the fraternities in 2017, or 20 or whatever? I think it's 20. I think when he kind of started going to some of those, and then you just watch the next year, twice as much better. He learns it. He's got a mind that's going to make it to where he's going to figure out how to solve the puzzle.
Well, hell, just like, was it this year? I was in the back pen, loping Hank around, and before the heeling finals, Dricker was high call. Tate was second. Either Trevor was second or Tate was second. And
I can't remember. I remember he was right there with him on the yellow horse, whether it was this year or last year.
I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And he misses the barrier. Driggers does. And I'm watching it on the TV in that back arena. So instead of just panicking, he just goes and turns a steer, makes a run, and he wins second or third. He still gets paid. There's a lot to that. Mm-hmm. He wasn't trying to win it. He knew he was late. And that little bitty arena, and them hard run steers.
Comes up fast.
Mm-hmm. And so instead of just panicking, he just makes his run.
Yep.
And he gets paid.
Yeah. So, he's changing a lot of the game. And gosh dang, not only that, look at what that guy's day looks like. Head and steers. He's making a living there. He just got a new little baby. He started his own rope horse fraternity. He puts on the capitalist roping. And then just the fact that I want to see it get better. Now he's a team roping director in the PRCA. Look down the line of the stuff that this guy keeps on his table.
Imagine how often his phone goes off.
Oh my gosh! To be a team roping director, shoot me in the head. But the fact that he has so much integrity, he wants to be better than how he found it.
It looks like
pretty inspiring.
Driggers wants the whole roping as a whole to get better, between the PRCA, the jackpots, being the capitalist, his futurity, the gold buckle.
Yeah,
he's wanting it all to get better.
That's an entrepreneur. You just look at him like, all right, can he do better? And so, how do I do it? And he just does it.
I'll just do it myself.
Pretty inspiring.
Absolutely. Cool. And the guy works his ass off.
Oh, yeah. And he's sharp. He's not one of those guys that I can just do better and he's dumb. He does it and he does better.
And he knows why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. So I was going down some of these long list of questions that I got on Facebook, and it was really cool. A lot of really good ones. A lot of them I think we touched on. Let's talk about where the horse market is. A lot of guys kind of wanted to know, internship and how a guy would get that going. But one of the things that I think that really stood out that I thought was a really, really good question, I think it really related to a lot of the topics we were talking about, was Reagan Wheatley wanted to know, what is his golf handicap and what is something he really looks in for his heel horses during the run?
Golf handicap. What is the...
This got to be one of your buddies.
I don't know, Reagan Wheatley. What is the worst handicap possible?
What is your golf handicap?
Yeah, what is the worst handicap possible? That's my golf handicap. I love to play golf. I don't have enough time to play golf. Actually, me and Blake Helms and Clay Logan and Tyler Manning went in a golf tournament last Friday. First tournament I ever played in. And I went and played 2 days before, and I ain't played in a jillion years. And I'm talking, that spot on Tin Cup when he's like, "Hey, Romes, I got shanks."
Yeah. Yes. The S word, the El Jose.
That was me. And anyway, so I went and worked on it. And Cooper Schroffler's one of my best friends, and he's a golfing son of a gun. And I said, "Cooper, this is the day before, Thursday." And I says, "You and I are going to go play this afternoon." said, it's 107 degrees outside. I don't give a shit. We're going to play golf. I'm not going to be an embarrassment. And I'm talking, we hit on the driving range and we stinking chipped and we did this. And my stinking practice swing was perfect. He's like, just step up the ball and hit it. I'd step up the ball and it'd stink and go straight right. Or it went straight left. I mean, it was just terrible.
All over the place.
Yeah. I love playing golf, but I'm not very good. As far as what I look in a horse, we talked about being uphill.
Yeah.
I want a stop and some gun. They got to be able to stop. I mean, as soon as, your broad range touch and your ass hits saddle, they got to get on their butt. They got to be thinking about it. They got to read a cow very well. I don't like a horse that wants to get strong through the turn. I don't want them to beat me through the turn. Me as a healer, I would rather be late through the turn than too early. So what I preach to my guys when I'm working my head horses and then they're healing for me, don't crowd me. Like, let me shape the steer up. Maybe I'm working on something. Don't crowd me. Let me control the run, and then you follow. And so what I want my hill horses to do is just like, so through the turn, I want them, Chuck, if we're going to drive a cow through that gate over there, and that cow goes to the right, what are you going to do? Get around to the right. Push him to the left to go through the gate. Same thing, if this cow goes to the left, you're going to get around to the left, push him to the right to go through the gate. That's how I think, and I want my hill horses to be like through the turn. I want them responsive, reading the cow, responsive to me, reading the situation. If I want to go another stride down the arena, I want to be able to go another stride down the arena. Oh, crap, this steer's checking off. We need to slow down here so we can still get to the inside. That's how I want my hill horses to be responsive.
Yeah, that's it's so much like, say, discipline that left hand and those feet and reading those reactions to know where to put yourself in that spot where the feet are going to be, where you can find them. And like I say, that's what the Clay Cooper or Rich Skelton talks about so much, is what's fun about the futurities, is the guys that know how to put themselves in that spot where it may have been a hard shot, but it's just hard to see it because they put themselves in such a good spot. Where the guys that fly by the seat of their pants, ride by it, and then have to go on the left-hand side, well, yeah, it freaking gets everyone standing up, cheering, whoa, my God, that was amazing. And it's amazing how many times that was avoidable.
Yes.
And that's what's cool about the futurities, those guys, like you say, Paul Leaves, the Colin Von Ons that just put themselves in that spot time. And the hard part, that what's crazy about it is the amount of times that they could have been in the wrong spot to pull off a shot because they were so disciplined and just those reactions.
And they just waited through it.
Just put themselves in that sweet spot. It's fun to watch.
And that's something.
It's such an eye for it to be able to see that too.
And that's something that I'm not talented enough with my rope. It's like, I've got to use my horse. But them guys, they're using their horse and they're using their rope at the same time.
What's cool about a lot of those guys, a lot of them learned how to rope first and ride second. That's what's kind of cool about Joseph. He learned how to ride his horse and kind of rope him with second. So it was really cool, like when he was buddy with Paul Leaves, Joseph's ropes had gotten better. And when they were buddy with Paul Leaves' horsemanship got better. And did you watch them? And they were number 1 and 2 in the world that year in 2020.
Dude,
iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah, that's like me and Clay Logan, like me and him, we won a lot together in different areas than Paul and Joseph, obviously. But in
your world,
in our world, like we were a great team.
Yeah.
And we still are. I still rope with him all the time. And
I enjoy seeing him every time I see him. It's such a solid dude. Well, man, I tell you what, like the amount of people that I've called today to talk about some of the stuff and get some information, like on the fact that snake's right there behind you.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount, I mean,
I still want to look. But I'm not going to.
But I'm telling you, the amount of guys, and we've been buds for a long time, and every one of them just confirmed everything that I always felt, big-hearted guy. I mean, everybody that I called you also the same big-hearted guy, just like a sheepdog of a dude, just like that dude's going to take care of anything, anybody that's around him. Integrity, just the stuff that I heard about you in the industry is just a great dude, and it's pretty cool to have that much respect in the industry. That's to be men. That's something. The respect is something a guy always really loves hearing, and to be able to hear the amount of conversations that I had with, 6-7 phone calls I made a day, and all of them just big respect. So I respect you as a guy, man. You're a freaking great trainer, great roper, great dude. It's cool to see you got that little man coming. And he's going to be the same. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun when that little guy hits the ground, man.
Yeah, so I'm waiting on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, how do we follow you? Social media? Is there websites? How do we get a hold of Hank's breeding? Any of the studs or any things you got going on? How do we get a hold of all that?
Cade Rice Performance Horse on Facebook. I think my wife has an Instagram page. I don't know. I'm not on it. She says I've got a TikTok page. I don't know. I'm not on it. You can reach me at 979-877-7336. That's my personal number. Or if you have any questions about breeding, same number. We'll direct you in the direction I think your mare needs to go in.
So all the breeding and everything right now is still through phone numbers, no websites quite yet?
So Hank and Jungle Cat, they have websites.
What are they?
That's a great question. I think Hank's I think he's got his own Facebook page, but
now is it what is that? You remember what his Facebook page is called?
7-Star Glow.
Okay, 7-Star Glow.
7-Star Glow.
Okay,
and then Jungle Cat is just Jungle Cat.
Jungle Cat.
Yeah, that's a great horse too.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to cow horsing this year. Hopefully, getting ready for the world's greatest.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, and then, but yeah. Other than that, I'm by way of phone call. I don't do emails very
simple.
Good. Yes, I'm old school.
I like it. Well, man, thanks for the conversation. It was fun. It was just fun to get in that world and like I say, what you've done on the heel side in the AQHA, the rope horse futurity, and everything I'm happy for you and proud of you where you're at, and what a great time to watch it and where you're at as you're building the family and stuff. So,
thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations, and I can't wait to start watching the spar in October. Gets closer.
Thanks, brother.
All right, man. See you.
Thank you.